So there's slight idiosyncrasies on brass instruments. I mean, it's not perfectly in tune with itself up and down the horn. There's slight adjustments we have to make. I'll turn a little sideways so that the folks watching online can see. I'm making a really small adjustment to play the middle F and the upper F in six partial because those partials are naturally a little sharp.
So how did you practice that, like with the tuner, to get those little slight adjustments together, or just using your ear?
Using my ear, and the music building when I was in college had these great stairwells. You know, the rest of the department used to hate this, but the brass players loved practicing in stairwells. Well, you can get to hear your sound, and also, you know what? If you're not playing in tune with yourself, ouch!
Oh yeah,
it gets thrown back at you, like right there.
The truth
Echo.
detector.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the truth detector.
Hello and welcome to the 28th episode of Bone Masters, where we get to meet living trombone legends, hear them play, have master classes, and talk about music. This week we feature the wonderfully talented Scott Whitfield in his third appearance ever on Bone Masters.
Getting back to the range thing.
Yeah.
That's okay. Folks out there might be saying that's not much of a range exercise. All he did was go up to the F above the staff. Range is a gradual thing. That's the main point that I make with students, is that range is a gradual thing. You have to build from the bottom. You want to have great high notes, solidify the bottom and build on top of it. And want to learn how to play loud with a good sound? Play soft. Yeah, play soft with control. And, okay, so towards the end of the routine, I keep adding degrees of the triad, which of course is a 3-note chord in each key, just for tenor trombone, for straight tenor trombone. If we're in 7th position, we're in the key of E major, and then 6th is F, on in to 1st position, we're in the key of B flat.
Yeah.
So let's just stick in B flat to save some time for now. And the next step I do, after a couple more flexibilities, is to add the octave on top of what I just did. So I've done a couple more flexibility exercises. Then I start out in 7th again. Right, and into 1st. And something important here is that I'm skipping a partial as I go up to the B flat, and I'll show you why. There's that A flat in 1st position a lot of the older players used to use because they were self-taught, but it's so horribly flat we don't use that note in the course of playing.
Right.
So hey, as long as I'm skipping that A flat, let's just get the 3 notes in the triad in tune with each other.
Okay.
So from that point, I skip more partials as I go up because the partials become closer together as you get higher on the horn. So then I'll do a couple more flexibilities and then start out in 7th again and then end up in 1st. So now I've skipped 2 partials, to add the D. Otherwise it would be. Right?
So you're skipping the what? The C?
I'm skipping the C.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit sharp. That's not that big a deal. But the point at this point, as I'm building on this, is to get the triad in tune.
And you're not playing more than a mezzo, like piano kind of
mezzo piano, mezzo forte.
Mezzo forte in between that.
Just or just mezzo.
Mezzo, yeah.
If there was ever, I've actually seen charts with M as a dynamic because
it's like a normal speaking conversation volume.
It's like they don't want it mezzo forte, but they don't want it quite as soft as mezzo piano. So
mezzo's cool.
M.
I like that.
The finale doesn't have that as a default dynamic, but
whiteout
yeah,
does.
whiteout.
So you're going up to the D now.
Yeah, so now I've added the third of the chord and a couple more flexibilities. And again, this is a gradual thing, you folks out there. It's a gradual thing.
When do you know it's time to move on to add the next one?
When you're solid as a rock on the one you're working on.
And all different positions.
Yep. Yeah. When you know for a fact that you can be out in fourth position and hit the G. You know, that's solid. That means in first position, you got the B flat in first position. You know that it's dependable. You know that you have it, and you can just pick.
So you can get all the alternates and all the positions on command, type of a thing. Is what you're looking for.
That's when you start building more. You know, it's like it's these are building blocks. I mean, the partials, the harmonic series, it's a series of steps. So you're building a house, you put the foundation down first, and then start working on the first floor, and then you add the second floor, and then on up, to the Empire State Building, which is 102 floors, the top observatory, which is I don't think is open anymore, but the 86th floor.
Sky's
that's
the
high
limit,
enough.
though, with the range. It can technically go as far as the ear can pick it up, right?
Yeah. And as far as you can go with proper use of air and not straining. Not straining, meaning not just overexerting, shifting, creating bad habits. I'm going to move the mouthpiece over here just so I can get this one note. You're not helping yourself when you do that because you're creating bad habits, and it's like you have a set over here just so you can play the high F. What about the rest of the horn? What about the rest of the range of the horn? So everyone is better off building from the bottom up and using as much as you can one embouchure. And I try never to shift. I mean, nobody has picture perfect chops. I don't think anyone of us is perfectly centered. We all have different muscle structure.
Our teeth are different.
Yeah. Well, exactly. We all have different dental structure in here, and we're all differently built.
Right.
One of my dearest friends is one of the greatest orchestral trombone players that I know. Her name is Jeannie Little. When we were in college together, she's 5'1", maybe 5'2", and what a sound she has, and she's working with what she has. She's 5'2" and petite, but a great player, big, humongous sound.
Nice.
You know, I'm 5'8". I'm not a big guy. You know, and then you look at someone like Carl Fontana, who was a huge guy. You know, and he was working with what he had.
Yeah.
And we all work with what we have. So I'm not one of these guys that believes in practicing in front of a mirror.
I see.
Playing is a feel thing.
I see.
It's not a visual. Music is not a visual art.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's an aural art form, AURAL, meaning sound oriented.
Yeah,
So
totally.
it's not a visual art. So why do some people spend time getting their chops perfectly centered and in front of a mirror, spend hours doing that? Okay, but how does it feel when you play? But we all work with what we have, and you build up in layers. So I'll do a couple more flexibilities, and then again, starting out in the seventh.
You always start in 7?
Yeah, because building from the bottom up with range. With range.
Do you start when you first pick up the horn? Do you go right to 7th?
No, starting first.
Starting first.
Yeah, I do the long, those medium long tones like that. I start with the F
Okay.
first, and then down chromatically, and then the flexibilities I start in first and down chromatically. With the range, I start at the bottom and come up chromatically because again, building the foundation.
So the flexibilities are technically kind of like in the lip slur family.
Yeah, right, exactly, and they're much easier to do in the inner positions. So get the feel of it, and then you start moving into no man's land out here, where it starts to feel like a French horn, especially doing Remington slurs in 7th position.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And
right.
It's like it's kind of the tube is much longer. So it's uncharted territory. If you don't work out there, you're not used to having those alternate positions at your disposal, and which are very handy playing. Some charts that are thrown in front of you.
Yeah.
That yeah, well, this might be one of these type of parts, but look at it, and you might have some choices out here, and
Oh,
make it a
yeah.
little bit easier.
And if you're familiar
Yeah.
with the alternates, there you go. You go the easiest path possible.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I used to run scales like that too. My teacher John Drew actually said when you have a half step, put it in the same partial. D flat major scale. Right? The F out in sixth. Right?
Yeah.
Right? It's counterintuitive now for me to go.
Gotcha.
Because it's so much easier to go 5, 6, 3, 5, 5. Yeah. So, and then the G flat scale, well, I mean, you can't avoid it on a straight tenor, but. Right, so the B flat to C flat on the bottom, 1 to 7. I hate it when arrangers do that. B flat to B natural.
I know,
C
right?
flat.
And like,
Yeah.
no time necessary too. It's like,
I was playing with one band back east in New York, and there was a figure at the beginning of one of the charts. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But so I just looked the leader right in the eye and went. I lipped down to the B flat.
hey everybody, Paul the Trombonist here. Thank you so much, Scott. Now, if you haven't already, you need to check out his other appearances on episode 1 and episode 10, because that's going to give you a great perspective of where he's coming from, and you don't want to miss those as well. They're phenomenal. Scott would like to give a shout out to the Getson Corporation. I would like to give a thanks to the patrons and BAC Music. And go to Scott Whitfield's website, scottwhitfield.com, because you're going to find his life-changing method book, Blow Freely, and his phenomenal recordings that he has released. He has a few of them, and a couple of them are pretty recent, and they're just a must-have for sure. So next episode we're featuring Ironepis, so that's gonna be real cool. He's a great guest, and he has some amazing stories to tell that you're not gonna want to miss. It's just stuff that's never been told before about historic figures, so it's very cool. I'd like to thank you all, and take it away, Timony.
Thanks for watching Bone Masters. Now remember, you can tune a flamingo. You can tune a piano, but you cannot tune a fish.